What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I have done a few videos on this guy, and it's been a little bit since I've done another one on the truck, and I've been wanting to do something with some kind of a lift, nothing too crazy, more like a leveling kit type thing. I've already tried it once. If you've paid attention or been subscribed to the channel, you've seen that I actually made an attempt at this that ultimately failed. Couldn't figure it out, and a bunch of people commented on it and said, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. All of that was complete crap and wouldn't work, and a lot of you did know what was going on here. I did have at least one person comment on that video and said he installs these, and you actually have to, the bottom of the shock, it's tilted one way and you have to get it the other way, and it doesn't move easy. And he said you got to put like a rod down in there or something, and it was big pain in the butt. So I ended up getting rid of the lift kit. It was just like a 3-inch lift kit, but it was front and rear. So I still wanted to do something more like leveling, so I went with this guy. Now, this video is the easiest way to level your truck, not counting going the whole torsion bar thing. If you don't know what that is, you have torsion bars on your truck, but only if you have 4-wheel drive. So if you don't have 4-wheel drive, you can't even do that. But if you do, and you are interested in doing something like that, you got a screw on each side of your truck on the front on your torsion bar, and you can jack it up a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but it can level your truck out if you're leaning down on the front, which like most stock trucks are. So we aren't doing that. We're actually doing a lift kit. So it's a leveling kit, not lift kit. Leveling kit, and you want to level your truck, you can either raise the front or drop the rear. I pull and tow a lot with my truck, so I didn't really want to drop the rear. So I wanted to lift the front up just a little bit just to level it. Now, this video is sponsored by the good guys at MotoFab Lift Kits, and they offer these. And this is for this truck. I've got a 2020 Chevrolet Silverado. It's the LT. If you've seen any of the videos, you know what I'm talking about. This is a 1.5-inch lift for the front. Now, you have a lift block you can put on Chevrolets anyway, on the bottom and on the top. I had a Ford F-150 2010. Before I got this truck, I actually traded that truck in to get this truck. The struts on it are different. So doing this isn't going to work on a Ford. This is only, well, not say only for Chevrolet. I don't know. It might be different for others. I'm not sure, but I know it won't work with Ford because on the bottom of the strut on the Ford, it's just a round piece on the bottom of the strut, and you have one single bolt that goes through. So something like this isn't going to work. On the Chevrolet, you have two flaps on the bottom that line up with these holes, so you can drop the bottom control arm down, slide this thing in there, and put the new bolts that are usually provided in the lift kit. So we're going to put a 1.5-inch lift kit, leveling kit on this truck just to level it out. This is the easiest way to do this. This is the easiest way to level your truck. But like I said, if you have a Ford, you're out of luck with this. I did put a leveling kit on that. That was a 3-inch leveling kit, but it was a spacer, a strut spacer. But for the top, that's not that big of a deal because like I said, the bottom of it is round. So when you put the top spacer on, it's got 3 bolts. It's in a triangle. When you put the spacer on the top, the triangle is 180 degrees from what it was. So that's why I was having so much trouble in this truck, because the angle on the bottom was it was opposite because you had to spin it. If you know, you know. If you don't, I'd watch the other video. But now doing this, you just put this in the bottom, and the bolts at the top don't change. You don't even have to take them off. It's real simple. We're just going to take the wheel off, hopefully take the 2 bolts out of the bottom of the strut, and we'll have to take a bolt off the control arm from the hub and drop it down. And hopefully, so wheel off, the bottom strut bolts, and a bolt off the control arm to be able to drop it down, and just slide this thing in and put it all back together. Should be super easy, super quick, hopefully. The last time I thought I was going to do something like this, it got all screwed up, and it actually didn't even really happen. But hopefully this will go good. So, let's go ahead and do this. We're going to go ahead, take the wheel off. Before we do anything, we're going to measure this to see what the distance here in the front and the back is, so we can see how we actually did. Okay, so, oh my goodness, I just washed this and look at all this crap all over it. We are looking at, looks like 6 7/8. So 6 7/8 on the front. Back here, looking at right at 8. So 8 and 7. We'll call it 7. So 8 inches from top of the tire to the bottom of the wheel well, and 7 inches here. That is supposed to be a 1.5 inch lift spacer. We only really need 1 inch to level it. 1.5, if it does turn out to be 1.5, will still look good. So let's do this. All right, so what we've got going on here. So this strut spacer that I've got is going to go in between this control arm. It's going to sit in here. This is going to come off, and it's going to sit on top of the spacer. So this guy will be 1.5 inches higher than it is now. So we're going to, that's attached right there. We're going to go ahead and just take those two loose, and hopefully this whole unit here will go down, and we can just slide the spacer in there, put the new bolts in and tighten it up, and put the wheel back on. Theoretically, hopefully, that's what we're going to do. So let's try that. All right, so we got the wheel off, and we're getting ready to take these two bolts off. If you have this truck, probably no matter what year it is, it's probably going to be close to the same thing. It's a 15 millimeter. You'll need a 15 millimeter socket. So let's go ahead and take these off. Hopefully this whole thing, except the strut, is going to drop down. We're going to put the spacer in here and put it back together. All right, so that didn't work. So we're going to take the nut off of the top of the hub, and hopefully that'll drop it down. So let's do that now. All right, so we got one out, one still in there. It's a little loose, but this guy isn't coming down. So we're going to take that loose, and hopefully all of this will drop down now. So let's take that off. Okay. Didn't quite go quite like I had planned, but we got it done. Just a couple more bolts, still real easy. Anybody can do this. Here's what we got. All right, so the hub is disconnected here. All I did was I loosened that. That is your steering. Then over here, that is the sway bar. Took that completely off. Loosen this. This is the top of your hub here. And then went ahead and took those bolts out. So the bottom is completely disconnected from the control arm. Then just holding this, I went ahead and took that nut completely off. It's right there. And just sat something under it just to hold it. And it's kind of sitting by itself. These are still loose though, so that's fine. All right, so loose, take that completely off, then take those completely off, then take that off. Now that we've gotten this far, since that's completely off, here's your spacers. These will just fit in there like that. And then we just have to line this guy back on top of it. Before you do that, these have to come off. So I'm just gonna take a flathead screwdriver and pop those off. Put this in there, and then put these new bolts in and tighten everything back up. And that is it. So let's go ahead and get one side done. All right, new update, still working on this one side, figure out the simplest way to do this and not have to take everything completely off. I've got to, well, look at this. I've got the spacer in here and I can push this forward some, but this is going to have to go down more. So I'm going to have to move this. When I move this, this thing's gonna drop down, but I've still got all these lines and they're not, I don't want this, the weight of this thing pulling on these. So we're gonna go ahead and take these off. Should have done that to begin with. If you watch any videos, it says the first thing to do is take these off, but I was trying to do this with as little as possible. So I'm ending up doing more than I had planned, but I'm still not taking really anything hardly apart. And it's just loosening that, taking that off and taking this off and undoing the bottom of that, which you have to do. So we're gonna disconnect the ABS and brake lines on here just so they're not connected to this, so this can go down. So I'm gonna go ahead and take those off out of the way and move that so it can go down. Then we'll be able to push that in, put the bolts through, put the nut on it, and then go ahead and lift this back up, try and connect that back, tighten that, and we can put the steering, or not the steering, the sway bar bolt back in. And then we can tighten those up, tighten everything else up, and put these brake lines on, and that's it. All right, so this was a whole lot more than I thought I could pull this off with, but still nonetheless pretty easy. And I did finally get the spacer in there. That's good. One thing that I've actually got somebody coming over here to bring me is I only brought that one jack. It's best to have another one to sit under here other than a paint can. So that's gonna make life a whole lot easier if you have two jacks while doing this. But still, you don't have to take everything completely apart. Just loosen some you have to take the nuts completely off and let it drop so you can be able to put the spacer in there. But other than that, doing this bottom spacer on a Silverado, really easy. So now I'm gonna put everything back together since I've got the spacer in there, and then do the other side because that would look weird, and then check the measurement, see how much lift we actually got. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this, do the other side real quick, check it, and then I'll see you guys in a minute. Okay, I just finished this side. I haven't gone over there yet, but let's just for giggles see what this is at. It was 7. it's just shy of 8.5. So that pretty much was it was 6 7/8. And it looked like it might have been an 1/8 short of 8.5. So it was right at a 1.5 inch lift over here. And I haven't even done that side yet. Yeah, I haven't done anything over here, so I don't know, it might be bigger a little bit when I get the other end done. But we've got 8 3/8 is what it is. 8 3/8 back here. We've got 8 5/8. So it's just 1/4 of an inch off. So for a suspension on a vehicle, I mean, that's pretty daggone close. 1/4 of an inch difference in the wheel wells. All right, so that's completely done. As you can see, it's dark outside. I had a bunch of hiccups in this, but finally figured it out. That's why I want to do this video. And by the way, they have a instructions somewhere. Yeah, they have instructions on this, and you can scan that and it'll go to a video on this. So I mean, it's not like you've got to sit here and watch my video to know how to do this. It's real easy, real simple. You've got instructions with your kit, and you can look at a YouTube video on there. So you don't have to worry about missing anything or screwing it up. The main reason I'm doing this video is like the title says, the easiest way to lift your truck. In the instructions, and if you watch the video online, they tell you to take pretty much everything off, loosen the top of the strut and all that stuff, and you can do that, and it might make a little of the parts of putting the lift on a little bit easier, but you don't have to do that. I didn't do that. I showed you what I did in the video. I took the sway bar off as far as on the hub, sway bar off, loosen the steering column bar, and loosen the top of the hub, and ended up taking that completely off. And you can drop that down if you have a jack or some kind of a lift that you can put up under the hub. Once it goes all the way down, disconnect the ABS lines and stuff like that so nothing snags or anything, because that would be a bad day. But do just those couple of things, and you can push that thing into where you want to put the spacer in, put the bolts in, and you're good to go. So really, really easy. And the only reason I've got the hood up here is because I went and looked at I started reading their instructions and thinking I should be able to get around some of this, and looked at the video online. The video on their YouTube channel told you to loosen the top of the strut. Like I said, you can do that. They tell you to do that, but I didn't. I got around doing that. You don't have to do that. So that's why the hood was up, because I was afraid I was going to have to go through all of that, and I ended up not having to. So that's the only reason the hood's up. So we pretty much got our exactly 1.5 inch lift here, leveling kit, 1.5 inch lift on the front. So it's good. Everything's great. Now I'm just going to do the other end of it, and this thing's pretty much done. So, I mean, now that I've done it and see exactly what you do, and don't really have to do, you kind of work around it. It's not that big of a deal. But either way, even if you follow the instructions from these guys, it's really easy. A lift kit on this truck, on a Silverado, like I said at the beginning of the video, F-150s are going to be different because of how the bottom of their strut is. So you won't be able to do this, it's called a lower strut lift, because you have a spacer on the bottom, and or you could put a spacer on the top. On the Fords, you can only put one on the top. On the Silverados, you can put one on the bottom. Makes it really, really easy to get just a little bit of lift on the front. It's less work than having to change out a shackle on the rear to drop the shackle to level it. So lifting the front, doing it this way is the easiest way, not messing with your the torsion bars, whatever they're called, only if you have four-wheel drive, You can tweak those around and get a little bit of lift, but you can do other stuff like get different keys and stuff like that. There's a bunch of different stuff you can do. But this is the easiest, simplest way to lift your truck, level it out, not wanting to drop the rear. This is the easiest way to go. So I hope some of you enjoyed this video. Hopefully this video was helpful in what you need to do, what your options might be, stuff like that. So be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed this video. Let me know all your comments down in the comment section below. And if you haven't yet, be sure to get subscribed to the channel. And I'll see you guys next time. See ya.